All right, folks. We've completed our Rutherford team. We've completed Miyazaki fleets, Michigan fleets. So now we're going to talk about Idris. And Idris is a very, again, simple team in Gaslands. It's pretty much the go as fast in a straight line as possible team. So a lot of their best vehicles are dragsters, muscle cars, anything that could go over 200 mile an hour. They're going to have an interest in. So as far as the cars that I like for them, anything that's a muscle car. So like this Thunderbolt, roadsters with lightweight bodies and big engines, jet-powered dragsters, NASCAR cars, and old school NASCAR cars like this Curtis Turner, Ford Fairlane, and of course you've got your pro stock cars like this Thunderbird, and they also like big fast vehicles like this truck, and of course with the truck, you have to think about how it would be souped up and everything, but they're still a very interesting faction. So their sponsor perks are NO2 Addict. So they basically get NOS at Nitro at half its cost, which, considering that Nitro for everyone else is 6 cans, makes Nitro a little bit outside of what your team can afford normally. 3 cans for a Nitro shot is actually a pretty good investment. I'll get into a little bit with the actual class perks, but because certain vehicles actually don't need it. But then their next perk is Speed Demon. So when this vehicle gains hazard tokens as a result of Nitro Booster, this vehicle only gains hazard tokens until it has 3 tokens rather than 5 hazard tokens. So normally when you trigger Nitro and you do your long straight, the vehicle gets up to 5 hazards. Now, one good thing about that is it's when you do your long straight, you get your 5 hazards, then you'll do your normal maneuver. You can roll down to lower the hazards, and Nitro can't take you over 5. So with Idris, you can't go over 3 hazards. So if you have no hazards, you go up to 3. If you have 3, you stay at 3. If you have 4, you would stay at 4, so on and so forth. So you can't wipe out by using Nitro by itself. And of course, the trick is, if I do a long straight, my medium straight in the next maneuver, in theory, depending on what gear I'm in, I'm probably going to have to use the shifts to clear the hazards no matter what. Idris isn't necessarily bound by that same restriction. Again, getting to the perks, the class perks, and talk about that. But then they have the Cult of Speed. This is how they get their audience votes, and so during gear phase 1, 2, or 3, if this vehicle selects the long straight maneuver template, including using the Nitro Booster upgrade, this vehicle's controller gains 1 audience vote. So basically, gear phase 1 through 3, if you select the long movement template, you get an audience vote. I do believe if you make an illegal selection, it still applies to the audience vote, where your opponent can then, to the right, can then choose the template for you. I don't see any tactical advantage to doing that if that's true. So I would say treat that as not true, and use the long template when you actually can. But the last of their sponsor perks is Kiss My Asphalt. And that is, this team cannot purchase gyrocopters. So that's not a huge loss. Gyrocopters are very niche to certain teams. Michigan can make use of them really well. Beverly can make use of them really well. Verney can really make good use of gyrocopters. So you're not losing out that much on not having an Air Force. It is kind of weird that they have all the access to all the jet-powered cars and they don't have that advantage. But so their class perks are precision and speed. And so precision, Mr. Fahrenheit, the vehicle cannot gain more than 2 hazard tokens from collisions during a single activation. Not super useful, but not super bad, because you can put a ram on a big vehicle like a war rig or a heavy truck or a bus, cover a lot of distance in the early game, and anything that gets in your way, you can pretty much splatter it. And nobody really is going to expect a war rig to hit a nitro booster and go halfway across your table. With pile driver, it can just knock everything out of the way. So there, it's an option. And not being able to gain more than 2 hazard tokens during collisions means, yeah, you can just plow through everything. And not worry too much about people trying to plow into you. Moment of Glory is, it's not as much of an auto take for Idris as it is for Miyazaki, but it's also good to get up through the gears and get set up for being able to take the long straight in your early gears later. And with your dragsters, Moment of Glory can save them from being wiped out. So, yeah, you've got those kind of options. Restraint's kind of weird because that's when you, instead of gaining a hazard for shifting down, you actually remove a hazard. So if you have a Gear 6 vehicle, like a performance car, like this one, and you're in Gear 6, gearing down to Gear 5 isn't going to hurt you that much. And of course, Idris is also good with motorcycles, and motorcycles with sidecars too, because they can select the long template, and they can get advantage that way. So that's good. Expertise gives you a 1 to your handling value. That's always good. 3 cans, it's not a bad investment. Trick driving. Trick driving can apply good for cars. Like if you're going to use this as just a basic car and it's Gear 5, and you want to use that long straight, you know, it's pretty good that way. But I think there's a little bit better you can do with those cans. Easy Rider is expensive with that 5 cans, but it's being able to discard 1 rolled skid dice means you might not be sliding into a wall after doing your maneuver. So you know, it's got its pros and cons. But the bread and butter of an Idris team is the speed perks. Everything that's gear 5 and 6, I think, should be taking hot start. You roll a d6 at the start of the game, and the vehicle starts the game in that gear. So you only re-roll if that would put your current gear of the vehicle above its max gear. So like I would be using this, I usually use hot rods like this as buggies. So, you know, you want to say like this vehicle here, with its max gear of 6, it can't roll over that, so you don't have to worry about the reroll. There is times where you'll just roll a 1, but you know, like the trucks and heavy trucks and stuff for Idris, gears 4 and 3, you're not getting as much use of it. But hear me out, that's not a big problem. We'll talk about it when we get to it. Slipstream is if this vehicle is involved in a tailgate collision during its activation, this vehicle can declare a slipstream reaction. If they do, the other vehicle may not declare a reaction. If this vehicle declares a slipstream reaction, this vehicle may change up or down 1 gear and gains a hazard token. So neither vehicle gains hazard tokens as a result of this collision. This is one of those times where you can actually hit your own teammates and do them a favor. So basically, if you want to get this vehicle up to gear 6, you know, you can go ahead and just tailgate your own buddy, declare the slipstream reaction, and then you can go up a gear and gain the hazard token. So the great thing about that is, of course, you're not doing any damage to your own teammates. You're only gaining 1 hazard, so it's the exact same as declaring an evade. And you can also, if somebody hits, if you hit somebody you don't want to smash because you're a fragile little buggy or something, you can slipstream and you know, not get crushed by something bigger than you. Then you got Overload, which is you go to roll 1 additional dice, but you also must change up at least 1 gear or gain a hazard token. At 2 cans, this can be a good perk, but it can also be a double-edged sword, because this should really basically read you're gaining a hazard token one way or another. Because if you go up a gear, you're gaining a hazard token. If you don't, you're gaining a hazard token. So if you roll to go up a gear, you might as well go up a gear. And of course, if you do get to your max gear, then using Overload is pointless. Then you got Downshift. So every time you shift, when you do your shift down, which you can pair with Restraint, but when you downshift, you get to do a short straight forward. That, I mean, if it can get you across the finish line, that's great, but I think at 3 cans, it's a little high. Then you have Time Extended. Any vehicle with nitrous, I think, should still take Time Extended, especially dragsters, because when you cross a gate, you remove all your hazards. And the only bad thing about Time Extended is it only applies to death racing. So if you're playing a season mode or something and you have Time Extended and you're not in a death race, it's 3 cans of dead weight. But for death racing, it is fantastic. Especially on the dragsters, which they're doing their nitrous constantly. By the time you do 2 activations and you select your maneuver template, you should be right on top of a gate. Now, granted, everybody's going to be shooting at you, and they're going to be, and you're usually not going to be in a great spot to shoot back, but you know, it's worth it. Then you have the perk that I think makes Idris a strangely good heavy hitting team, because Hell for Leather is 5 cans, which is pricey, but this allows a vehicle to consider the long straight to be permitted in any gear. And the long straight is not considered either hazardous or trivial in any gear. And so the great thing about that is if you have a vehicle that is normally a Gear 3 vehicle, it's never going to see a long straight normally. So you can take a bus with nitrous and Hell for Leather, and then you can go for the low cost of 3 hazards, a long straight and a long straight with a bus. And usually the larger vehicles are usually longer than these vehicles, so you know, if you say a bus is even this, most vehicles are, most scale buses are about 3 cars or 2.5 cars, so that much distance, and then that much distance at the end of a long straight, that is really good. And again, on war rigs, it's also fantastic. So you would think Idris would be all about lightweight, super fast vehicles, but they're actually really good at just putting out a big monster vehicle that is super fast in a straight line. And then you could have like flank that a Idris bus with like a couple bikes, and in one turn you could have you know, 6 audience votes easily. And the great thing about those audience votes is then you can be using things like Carpe Diem to keep pole position, keep your vehicles moving ahead of everybody. You could use it to remove hazards, and your vehicles that have the nitrous upgrade outside of your dragsters, you can use the reload to reload the nitrous, because the nitrous runs off of an ammo token. I'm not sure how that works with the magnetic jammer on Michigan. I do believe the magnetic jammer does actually stop nitrous use, but I'm not entirely sure. But outside of that, you can essentially jump out ahead and stay ahead of your opponents. Idris is, again, one of the is a very simple faction in this game, because of the fact that they have open access to every vehicle except the tank, the helicopter, and the gyrocopter. And they make all of those vehicles work with just a little bit of an investment. So nitrous, Hell for Leather, you know, you could say that it's a pricey investment for a vehicle, but when you're getting your audience votes regularly like that, it is worth it. So, with what I'm going to be planning on doing is, I've got this Johnny Lightning here with a little jet engine. We're going to have this little fella, and we've got this dragster with the jet engine. So this is definitely going to be a dragster. So this is a buggy, truck. Run this Thunderbolt as a car. Mostly because I like the Thunderbolt, and I think it doesn't get enough love. But again, if you want to break out your muscle cars, this is a great faction for just muscle cars. Again, NASCAR cars are great too. And like I said, I use hot rods for my buggies, but buggies are good for them. Bikes are good for them. So again, it's a very simple faction because again, all you got to focus on is using your long template as many times as possible in a game. And so the next time I do a video on this, most of these vehicles will be stripped. You may have noticed that both of these vehicles are Pennzoil sponsored. So I'm going to leave the paint scheme mostly alone on these two. And I'm going to leave the paint scheme alone on this one because this is a NASCAR legend with Curtis Turner. And I think that makes a good one for this sponsor. And so these will be stripped. This is actually a plastic body, so it won't go in the stripper because it will melt. But so these three or four here are going to go into the stripper, and then we'll move on to talking about the weapons and upgrades that you should consider for Idris. So with that, again, always welcome the likes, the shares, the subscribes. Comments are always great and always welcome. Right now, where I live, there's supposed to be a big, scary snowstorm, and a lot of areas are being hit with heavy snow and ice and a lot of other dangerous things. So be safe out there. I say that at the end of every video, and I mean it. You know, when I say take care and be safe, I mean it. You know, make sure you get, when you go out, that you get to come home. And with that in mind, if you like what I do, check out my Etsy store, King of Cats Crafts. I've put up a few new vehicles for purchase on the channel, on the page, so, you know, feel free to check that out. That really always helps me because I usually put that money right back into the community and buy other Etsy sellers' products, and then I use those products in my builds. So we're all helping each other out. And with that, again, take care, be safe, and goodbye.